The Amazon rainforest is the largest tropical rainforest in the world. There are hundreds of different species that live in it. When this man found an ugly creature all on its own in the forest, he had no clue what species it belonged to, let alone what it would become. The man of this story was no stranger to the rainforest. He had grown up around the Amazon and had spent all of his adult life in the area. He enjoyed the freedom of the rainforest and the incredible variety of life that it offered. From the different animals to the thousands of unique plants, the man was astounded by the rainforest and loved to walk through it on a daily basis. The day that the man had found the unusual creature, it had started off like normal. He had woken up to the sound of birds cawing and insects singing. With the sun shining down on the forest, the man decided to go on his daily walk. He followed his usual path, taking in the beautiful sights and smells that nature had to offer. As he walked through the forest, he suddenly heard a faint squeak coming from the forest floor. The man stopped, afraid that he might accidentally step on a small creature. As the squeaking continued, the man got close to the floor and began to search through the grass and the brush. Soon enough, the man found what had been making the noise. It turned out to be a tiny, ugly creature. It was clearly a baby animal of some sort, but the man had no clue as to what species it could belong to. At first, the man was a little frightened of the animal, as he admitted that it looked a bit like a tiny monster and he had never seen anything like it before. But after studying the helpless baby for a few minutes, the man knew that no matter what it looked like, he could not leave such a defenseless creature to fend for itself. So, with this in mind, the man scooped the small, ugly animal up and started the trek back home with his new companion. Once back at his home, the man took a bit more time to study the ugly foundling that he had discovered. He soon came to the conclusion that the animal was a baby bird, although from what species it came from he still didn't know. After recognizing the type of animal that it was, the man set up a little nest for the bird to live in. He knew that it would need heat to keep healthy, so the kind-hearted helper made sure to use whatever blankets and warm materials that he could find. With the animal's nest made up, the next thing that the man had to figure out was how to feed the helpless creature. He knew that in the wild the bird's mother would go and find food, then bring it back to the nest and regurgitate the meal so that the baby would be able to eat without choking. The man knew that he couldn't do that for the bird himself, but he did know of another way that he could help the animal to eat. The man, determined to help the bird reach adulthood, would take a portion of fruit that he would find in the rainforest and cut it up as small as he could. He would then mash the food down into a paste and feed the baby small bits at a time so that it didn't choke. As the weeks went on, the man fell into a routine with the baby bird. In the morning, he would feed it mashed bananas and various other fruits and nuts. Then, throughout the day, he would carry it on his person as he went on walks and did his daily tasks. Whilst the man couldn't talk with the bird, he felt that the animal enjoyed the time that they spent together and appreciated being out in the open. During the night, the man would nestle the baby bird into his chest and then feed it more mashed up fruit, nuts, seeds, and sometimes some cooked chicken. This routine continued for a couple of weeks, and as the weeks went by, the chick began to grow. The man didn't notice at first, but the bird began to become bigger. Little plumes of feathers were starting to poke through its pink skin, and its squeaks were becoming deeper and more like a proper bird's call. But the thing that caught the man's attention the most was that the animal was able to walk on its own 2 feet and actually stay stable whilst doing it. As the bird's feathers started to fully come through, the man noticed that they were very vibrant. Whatever species the bird belonged to, it was going to be a very colorful one. After another 2 weeks, the bird species finally revealed itself. The man was able to determine that it was a macaw. The macaw species is one of the rarest and most expensive birds in the world. It is a type of parrot that has been on the endangered list for years, and only recently has it started to make a comeback with its population numbers increasing. This is thanks to the charities such as the WWF along with conservationists. But how did one of the world's rarest birds end up on the floor of the Amazon rainforest? Well, the man believed that it had probably fallen out of its nest in one of the trees. This could have been because of high winds, or a simple mistake of being pushed out by its nest siblings. The macaw species belongs to the Arid genus of the Psittacidae family. They nest only in the tropical forests of Central and South America, and the genus includes 15 species, 7 of which are extinct. The macaw can reach up to 95 centimeters in length, and has a very bright plume of feathers of green, red, blue, and yellow tones. It has a long tail, a large sickle-shaped beak, which is the strongest in the world, and its wingspan can reach up to 1.5 meters wide. One of the amazing things about these birds is that they can live to be up to 100 years old, although on average they usually live to be around 70. Because of how rare and incredibly endangered they are though, selling or buying macaws is strictly illegal in almost all countries. Hopefully by doing this, the countries make it so difficult to buy a macaw that people will eventually leave them alone and let them repopulate. Knowing this, and after discovering the type of bird that the chick was, the man knew that he had to tell the authorities so that it could be looked after properly. He contacted a local zoo, which was equipped for nursing such animals like the parrots, and let them know what he had found. He told them how he had found the bird, how old he thought the chick was, and how he had been looking after it for the past few weeks. The zoo was incredibly thankful for the man's honesty and kind-hearted nature. Thanks to him, the macaw had been saved, and it was another addition to the species population. They accepted the bird happily and took over its care. The man was sad to see the chick go, but he knew that it was for the best, as the zoo would be able to look after it properly and give it the proper care that it needed. As the bird got older, the zoo began to teach it all of the important lessons that it would need to survive in the wild, things like how to crack open a nut or how to fly. When the bird was old enough and competent enough to live by itself, the zoo released it back into the wild. It was released close to a colony of macaws with the hope that it would be accepted into their group and potentially find a mate. As for the man, he went back to his daily walks through the Amazon, but every time that he ventured out, he would make sure to keep an eye and an ear out in case he came across any more wayward animals who might need a helping hand. He would also keep an eye to the sky in the hopes that he might see his friend, the macaw that he rescued. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to get more amazing stories.